Lots of problems today.
Okay.
And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called All Is Full. In the early morning, I hear the temple bells playing across the Ganges river, and the clouds of music from my villa drift like white mists over the moving waters. When the bells ring, the spirit of wind sings. All is full, from full comes full. Take full from full, what is left is full. All this is divine self. Take the world away. What is left is Brahman. All this is the divine self. Purnamada, Purnamida, Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is July the 28th, 2020, Tuesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 259. And now Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. We are in the fourth volume of Yoga Vasistha. It is Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha. And section number is number 1. So I have not missed much. A highly allegorical description is being given of the manner in which Sage Vasistha had his satsanga hall and how he began his program every day. The entire setting of Sage Vasistha and his teaching being given to Rama, and the description is all gods and goddesses, they had come in human forms. They were all sitting in different areas. There was no distance in those times. And all sages, not a single one missing this. Saints, and then all those who are spiritual seekers, as well as those who were in the very early stage, as well as those who were completely dull wit. Somehow they were all drawn. And surprisingly enough, even the birds looking through the window, seeing this whole atmosphere, and sometimes grabbing some of the sounds and teachings, they went into trance. This description is allegorical description, which is not really allegorical from a profound point of view. And that is a profound point of view. First point to understand that satsanga is very important for spiritual progress. Satsanga is literally good association. Philosophically, it's Godward movement, associating with Sat. This whole world is Sat mixed up with Asat. Associating with Sat, moving away from Asat. And the purpose of satsanga is to inspire an aspirant. Firstly, to understand the path of sadhana, the role of integral yoga in daily life and how to practice it. And how to face challenges in life, how to be positive. All that, I'm not going to details, but you can easily understand. So all types of people in different stages are benefited by satsanga. The traditional satsanga does not keep someone at the gate and only allow people who smell good. Joking. All are allowed. And all get benefited. What's being pointed out, that satsanga is tuning your mind to all the teachings that have been given by sages and saints, and all the goodwill that has been generated by countless great personalities. Satsanga is putting you in tune with all that's good behind the world. As if through satsanga you are communicating with Sage Vyasa, Sage Vasistha, Vishwamitra, communing with Rama himself, who is all permeating. So, that's being the highlighted purpose. Yoga Vasistha goes into details of describing, and let's study that. The evening breeze blew, laden with the fragrance of sages' wisdom. Even the lakes with their gentle waves sparkled amid their embroidered beds, as if thrilled in ecstasy. The idea the entire nature gets thrilled. Simple point to understand that if you are charged with satsanga vibrations, you will look at the nature through a different angle. Nature is thrilled by the glory of God. And it has been thrilled even before you were thrilled. But now you realize, due to satsanga, that nature is thrilled. Allegorically, you give the nature also listen to the satsanga. Another point to understand. If your mind is very positive and joyous, your gardens get thrilled. You have to go into, that also is a matter of profound science. If you sing a good song, certain creepers enjoy it. Birds get inspired. But I will not go into those details. The idea to understand the importance of satsanga. And the basic form of satsanga is what you are right now experiencing it. And while you are experiencing it, your mind is tuning to a vast dimension of great personalities whose wisdom is being poured through these inspiring words of scriptures. The last rays of the departing sun entered the windows of the palace, whispering the message of the ending day. It was time to conclude the daily discourse. The attendants sounded their trumpets and blew their conch shells, and the mingled sound resounded on all sides. Soon the stillness was broken in the assembly hall, and a wave of agitation spread across the royal city. The caged birds began to flutter their wings, and peacocks began to give forth their sonorous sounds. Even the infants in their mother's arms began to tremble at the uproar of the evening sounds. Preparing to conclude his talk for the day, Sage Vasistha said to Rama, "O Rama, allow the bird of your chitta to be trapped in the net of wisdom that I have spread before you." That's the Satsanga's plan. It's a kind of a fishing plan. Creating a net of wisdom. Through so many teachings, so many inspiring insights, they are presented through the stories of Rama, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Puran, through the teachings of Upanishads, and of course the concentrated teaching presented by Yoga Vasistha. All these teachings, they are like a net. To catch whom? Your whole chitta. And once chitta has been trapped by satsanga, soul enjoys its oneness with the divine self. So Rama, you have listened to my teachings and have attained the discriminative vision that is like the swan, which separates the milk of reality from the blend of illusions. So always he quotes the swan with having a special ability, rather having instinctive quality of taking pure milk, even if the milk is presented to the swan in an adulterated form, mixed up with water or anything else. But swan will pick out pure milk nut nutrition. And allegorically, what it actually means, your chitta, your mind, gains that type of clarity of vision, that wisdom operates through your mind and you begin to separate the world you are experiencing through your conditioned mind and senses and the reality that supports all your experiences. Put it in a still more clearer way. You watch a cinema show, all the time what you have been looking at, screen. But what you have become involved in, projections. The projections are adulterated form. Screen is the pure milk. Sit there as a Hansa, not as a vulture, looking for what type of story is coming up. And go on crunching your popcorn. So there are two ways. If you are doing that, you are in the world of illusion, deluded. You are making yourself shake and bake on the basis of all that you are seeing. But what you are actually seeing is pure screen. What you are actually ever-present reality within you, which is actually there, is pure consciousness. But that consciousness has become mixed up with your mental projections. Pure awareness, that is a profound topic, and that will be presented more and more. Called Prajnanam Brahma. Same consciousness is presented as Satchit Ananda, absolute existence, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. That is the absolute reality. But that reality is veiled by your mental projections. And your soul developing a fictitious identity is involved in pleasure arising out of the cinema show of the world process. But pleasure goes along with pain. And when we say swan, the Sanskrit word hamsa, aham, I, sa, that, I am that. And when you turn around, that am I. So hum. Hamsa so hum is a profound mantra. And it is also called ajapa jap. If you are highly spiritually sensitive, then the wisdom that you receive, the wisdom that enriches your mind, enables you to be in tune with the knowledge, I am not the body, this world is not real. I am that. And that am I. Hamsa soham. And that's the purpose of satsanga. O Rama, take recourse to the practice of vasana kshaya, manonash, and tattva jnana. And that also includes prana nirodh. Prana nirodh relates to controlling the pranas. Pranas are profoundly related to your mental process. All mental functions require energy. That energy is prana. And that prana expresses in a very simple way through your breath. If you harmonize your breath, breath itself is not prana, it is an effect of the activity of prana. If you harmonize your breath, breath becomes a channel to allow your prana to be harmonized. As prana gets harmonized and begins to flow through the through the subtle channels. Channels are mystic channels which are adopted by Prakriti, nature. That's through those channels, nature continues to flow. All your experiences are the magic of the flow of Prakriti. When pranas are not harmonized, the flow of Prakriti is disturbed. So first it creates a mental imbalance. Instead of being happy, you feel miserable, simply because you have misunderstood. Someone made a statement of many negative things, ended up saying something that was totally different from all he said. Sometimes people come and bring good news, but first they communicate all the negative. So the good news can be more tasty. I'm giving a humorous. Now someone did that, but at the last stage, he said something and it didn't come out of his mouth. In other words, somehow the person didn't listen, didn't hear. So, now that person is receiving all negative sorrow and misery in his mind. Much later, 6 months later, it is clarified that it was only a good news. You missed celebrating the good news. Doesn't it? Happened to that? No, There's a weight on that. Is it fallen down? Okay. The magic. No, doesn't matter. I will use this one. There. Continuing now. 3 points have been mentioned. Manonash, Vasanakshaya, Tattvagyan. And a supplementary that paves the way to these 3 is Prana Nirodh, control of pranas. I was explaining to you the role of pranayam and kundalini yoga that deals with all the chakras, centers. And I'm not going into that detail at this stage. All that has been told, and we will be telling you more and more. Adopting this path of wisdom, you will not be deluded anywhere in this world. But if you ignore this path, you are bound to be caught in the world process. Even like an elephant trapped in the pits of the valleys of the Vindhya mountains. All these are allegorical and artistic writing, poetic writing. Even if you feel you are very strong like an elephant, but it doesn't matter. You will be trapped. If when we talk of Manonash, Vasanakshaya, Tattvagyan, always remember that mirror example I give. And the whole project is seeing yourself, your real identity. But what is the medium for the revelation of your identity, your own mind? But the mind is altogether all the 4-aspected mind is called chitta. So chitta is like a mirror. And you are seeing your face in a mirror that's full of dust. So what happens? Your face becomes so distorted, goes one way, that way, that way. And technical shows also reveal to you that fact. You are watching this show in your TV. Suddenly you see the face of a person. You are interested in hearing the speech of a great politician. Suddenly his nose goes that way. Right? So, mala causes that. Mala is to be worked upon by karma yoga. Spiritual movement is not just one aspected, that just learn some mantra and just go on doing it, sadhana. It covers your entire life. And your life has 4 strings: karma, sentiments, feelings, will, and your understanding, your wisdom, reason. So we always talk about those 4 points: action, emotion, will and reason. Matching up to these 4, there are 4 yogas: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, jnana yoga. All these 4, they are linked together. You cannot separate. You may give highlight to importance of karma yoga at one time, bhakti another time, so forth. But they are, all the 4 are always blended. You cannot separate them. And that understanding is called integral yoga. Just as a person who wanders in darkness without a lamp falls into dark pits, in the same manner, if you do not carry the lamp of wisdom with you, you are bound to fall into the pits of innumerable embodiments. Falling into pits relates here to the falling into the cycle of birth and death. Thus, O gentle Rama, acquire internal detachment arising out of wisdom and perform your daily duties with a mind illumined by the knowledge of the self. Two points are being highlighted. Detachment, asanga. And asanga, detachment, if you are simply practicing detachment, it will become a source of misery. Because you may be detaching yourself from every good opportunity. So simple, dull-wit detachment is not the real detachment. Real detachment is led by wisdom. And put it in a more simple way, vivek. The more vivek develops in your mind, greater you are detached. Again, detachment, you have to understand, doesn't mean a physical separation. It simply means, even though you are playing with the child, holding the child in your arms, you are detached. The child is not the body, soul within it. So your internal heart is repeating the mantra, Keshava, Keshava, Krishna, Krishna. Even in the beauty of the child, your internal heart is resonating with mantras. You are detached. As you are detached, you are getting attached to the higher reality within yourself. And again, reminding you of the statement made by Shankaracharya, Sri Shankaracharya. Satsangatve nihasangatvam. The more satsanga, greater is your detachment from the worldly apparent enjoyments. Because this type of enjoyment in the world, Vishaya Bhog, is constantly fleeting. It is illusory. But even in this realm of enjoyment, if you have viveka, you separate yourself with that enjoyment that degrades you and the enjoyment that elevates you. Shreya and Preya. Preya degrades you, but you like it, led by fondness. But fondness without vivek. O monarchs, sages, saints, the Vasistha is telling that the satsanga is over for the day. O monarchs, by these statements, you are being told who were all present in that. Monarchs, sages, saints, and all of you now present in this assembly hall. May you all engage yourselves in the performance of your evening duties. In other words, go home, prepare to have your food, go to sleep, rest. I'm jokingly presenting. We will continue these teachings in the morning. And next day, same routine. And that type of life is called aha. At the bidding of sage Vasistha, all got up from their seats, appearing like full blooming lotuses, which raise their heads above the lake. When satsanga has inspired you, you go with face blooming like a lotus. After adoring sage Vasistha, praising King Dasharatha, and showering their words of admiration on Rama, all the assembled kings, princes, ministers, and royal attendants departed for their homes. Then sage Vishwamitra, accompanied by sage Vasistha, proceeded towards his residence. As an expression of reverence, King Dasharatha and his sons followed the sages, and having adored them, returned to the royal palace. All the description has a purpose. Purpose is, when you have listened to satsanga, don't become too inspired to forget your ordinary courteous mannerism. Elderly people have to be dealt with with reverence. And so forth. Maryada. But if philosophical teaching makes you break all these mannerism in a gracious way, then you have not really understood satsanga. Otherwise you hear the whole world is mithya, Brahman alone is real, this is all cinema show. So young man comes to his fathers, doesn't even adore them, doesn't even. They are all silver show. So that's so all this teaching it has been ineffective, it has not been brought to your mind in a right way. The moment you begin to gain real progress towards the understanding, towards the realization, all is illusion. Every step you take puts you in an advanced, from another angle, puts you in much better and better states of personality, more integrated, more harmonious, humbler, and so forth. So both points have to be understood. Ultimate point, all is illusion. The beginning stage, allow yourself to flow through integral yoga movement. Don't ignore any step. But what you do ignore is keeping your mind under the sustained despair, negativity. Next section, the dissolution of the citta. Then the night, with the darkness as her feet and the moon as her face, began to wane with the advent of dawn, much in the same manner as ignorance begins to vanish with the advent of discriminative knowledge. The summits of the eastern mountains were soon adorned with a crown of golden rays from the sun. Now, satsanga-based mind looks at the world also as a source of satsanga. And what can be most inspiring than the glimpse or than the vision of the rising sun? What miracles happen as the sun begins to rise? And just like the rising sun decks the whole world with such amazing shimmer and shine, in the same way, Godward movement allows all your vision of life shine and shimmer in the most advanced way possible. What I'm leading to understand, the importance of early rising, practicing sadhana in Brahma Muhurta, and beginning the day with adoring the sun. But what I'm implying is more on a sensitive level. Having performed their evening prayers, Sri Rama and his brothers proceeded to the residence of sage Vasistha. Soon many chariots, horses, elephants thronged before the residence of the sage. And so forth. All this description I have explained that how all courteous mannerism continues to be maintained in a proper way, even though Sage Vasistha taught everything is illusion. Then as the rays of the sun, as if also desirous of listening to the sage's teachings, began to enter through the window into the assembly hall. The soft sounds of mutual greetings began to fade away, and the audience became still this evening, appearing like blooming lotuses in a serene lake. Oh, this is the morning's description of the morning. Rays of the sun are entering into the hall, and people who came in the morning, they first greeted each other, and there was good sound going on, but the sound began to fade away. They became all still. So that's how every day began. Sage Vasistha began, O Rama, do you remember the teachings that I imparted to you yesterday? Now listen to some more points that will lead you to spiritual insight and realization. O Rama, this ocean of the world process is crossed by the practice of vairagya and the knowledge of the self. Therefore, may you become devoted to these pursuits. By the knowledge of the self, ignorance is destroyed. When ignorance is destroyed, the vasanas become extinct. Then the state of liberation is realized, wherein grief is supremely overcome. So let me explain the detail. We had started telling with the mirror, with the dust that refracts your face. The second, that's called mala. And mala is targeted by karma. Actions that you do, the way you handle your responsibilities to yourself, to people around you, to all your practical needs, how you live in this world, with what attitude, and how you can turn this whole situation into something enriching to your personality. And that mantra for that is called kushal, kaushalya, skill. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Same thing you are doing. If you do it with greater concentration, with greater positivity in your mind, with greater attunement with your inner source, who is God, same karma that you are doing will have a tremendous enriching effect on your personality. Now, coming to the second aspect, as you begin to see mala move away, you become aware of immense capacity you hold within yourself. You begin to discover the amazing potentiality of your personality. And that creates distraction in the mind. put it in a very gross way, if you are very taste-loving personality and you are suffering from some digestive problem, suffered a lot, and now the problem is over, that's a mala, gone. Now your mind is opened up to all the tasty things you can have. And you find your life is so short. Tasty things are so many. Oh God, give me long life so I can visit all the hotels. Elaborating what the big shepa means. Your mind is going after so many things, you don't know which one to follow. Allegorically put it, as if it's mala, impurity was dust on the mirror and you first cleaned it. That cleaning of the dust is karma yoga. Next, as you begin to clean, you find yourself shining through the mirror. But you are not accustomed to seeing your real face. So what happens? Your hand begins to shake. Through shaking hand, your mirror is not giving you real picture of yourself. You have become 100-fold. That has to be corrected by dhyana and bhakti. Devotion to God blended with meditation. That Raj Yoga teaches how to practice meditation. Bhakti Yoga teaches how to practice devotion. Both blended is Bhakti Yoga. Also termed as upasana. And when that comes to control, mala you have controlled, vikshepa you have controlled by bhakti and dhyana. Now, suddenly, the revelation has a little shock. Your head that used to be up suddenly goes down. And all the hair falls over your eyes. But it is not a matter of despair. It is your own hair. So all that you do is shake your head. Now the whole project is over. Now you can see yourself through the mirror. And what you see doesn't require any more confirmation. So say goodbye to the mirror. Goodbye to the chitta forever. But if you go on seeing it, there's no harm either. As long as you are jivan mukta, you go on holding your chitta. But you have what you have seen through your chitta, you don't need the chitta anymore. Then you are videha mukta. Body is not needed. Unlimited by time, space and objectivity, the absolute alone exists. This world process is nothing but the illusory modification of Brahman. This is advanced Vedanta, that's what I have been always trying. This is the truth. But doesn't mean that you are out of all those three stages. How can duality abide in Brahman who is beyond the mind and senses? There is no chitta. There is no ignorance. There is neither mind nor jiva, the individual soul. All these are mere imagination. With this we conclude for today. Om Ram 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 Ram. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Prayer for the shower of divine grace of Karunamaya Ras over all, to relieve all people of this terror of pandemic and allow every soul to develop understanding, sanamati, to live for attaining enlightenment. And may all of you be blessed with Shakti, spiritual strength, bhakti, devotion to God, and mukti, liberation, revelation that puts the death virus to complete termination, gaining of immortality. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukma bandhanan mrityor mukshyamamritat. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukma bandhanan mrityor mukshyamamritat. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Om shanti, shanti, shanti. Hari Om Tat.
Are there any questions for Swamiji? We're going to be asking if anyone wants to ask a question, that they come forward and speak through this mic so that people not in the room hearing the lecture know clearly what the question was that Swamiji is responding to.
Pranam Gurudev. Gurudev, you described the ajapa japa.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a state in which the japa that you may be doing your Ishta mantra disappears, and then the natural Soham, Hamsa or Om japa spontaneously repeats itself?
You have to understand it in a profound way. Statement that is made is not to be followed literally. When you do japa, you are doing whose japa? Whether your mantra is Rama or Krishna or Shiva, no matter what mantra. Whose japa are you doing? You are doing japa of Brahman. But your japa has 3 stages: verbal, vakhari, and then the stage in which you are whispering. And manasik, vakhari, upanshu and manasik. The moment the mantra becomes manasik, it is same as Soham Hamsa. So when you hear Soham, it doesn't mean that you now change your mantra. You've been doing Krishna mantra? No, Soham, Soham, Soham. Not so. But the same mantra is it. When you hear Soham Hamsa, it means same God who is thrilling you when you do japa is thrilling you in every breath. So every breath that you are breathing in, breathing out. But then again, It's allegorical. Don't go after counting your breaths. You breaths, did you remember that? No. If you love something profound, as if you remember with every breath. So that again is an allegorical term. It all simply means deep down your life is involved with enjoying the thrill of God's presence. A baby enjoying the thrill of mother's arms. Your soul is being completely supported by God within you at deeper level. And that you don't forget. And even when you go to sleep, your breath doesn't forget. You still go on breathing. So what it implies, that even your unconscious continues. When you are not aware, your unconscious takes over. But when you are aware, then you go on enjoying an internal taste of divine surrender or unity with God. So that type of movement is called Soham Hamsa Japa Japa. Starting with Manasik Japa. Karka man ka chhod de, man ka de. Kabiras, leave this mala, beads that you use by your hand. Allow the mind to do the mala. All they are pointing to the same thing.
Swamiji, please allow me to ask one more question about the prana nirod. There are different methods described in your writings as well. Purak, Kumbhak and Rechak, and the different ratios are given like 1 to 4 to 2. And you have also elaborated on the Om Upasana using inhaling as Om. So what is the ideal way to follow this math of 1, 4 to 2?
First you have to find yourself. Are you in kindergarten or are you in advanced state? You are in kindergarten? Yes. Start learning where your nose is. And what are the functions the pranas do as they flow from the right to the left? And what effect it has on your body. All that is important, but where you are, that which is step. If you have gone into deeper level where you are practicing karma yoga, bhakti yoga in a profound way, now minimum effort needed to maintain your breathing exercises. You don't have to spend hours doing Vasika. But you do it. It's a practical reality for your body. For certain degree of pranayama and all that you have learned, you choose and see what matches up with your body or with your need and go on maintaining it. If you need to introduce more, keep yourself vigilant, just like you handle your food, handle your many practical realities. So you handle your pranayama exercises according to the need of your personality. The deeper movement is in your internal. That's where you are progressing faster, profounder. So that's the picture of integral yoga movement. Otherwise, even if you have come to 90-year age, you are looking for learning. Oh, I have not learned Brahmari well yet. I have to go to that ashram that teaches. I'm joking, but try to understand. Yeah.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Swamiji, just a quick question. Someone who was not present in the room heard Sunday's lecture and submitted a question. I believe then you were talking about pralaya and souls returning after pralaya. His question is, those who attain realization, do they have to return to the world after Mahapralaya?
That's completely kiddish question. The reflected sun has attained revelation, I am the sun. Now, question, will the sun come back and be reflected? It is yes and no, both. If you are confined to the pot, then understand the reflections will continue as long as the pots continue and waters continue. Sage is one who never identifies with reflection. Reflection is not the sun. The moment you have come to that stage, the question, will you come back and come back to that identity, I am the reflected sun? That is not possible. Sun will not be deluded that I am a reflected sun. From sun state, it is ever free. Put in a very broad way, a Jivan Mukta or liberated sage will never come back because he is one with Brahman. But as long as you know Brahman is the reality and he is the one who comes back, yes, that's okay. You can identify the sage with that, any sage. A river that has gone into the ocean. Now, question, will that river come back? It is both answers, yes and no. But behind the answer, what has the ocean to do with it? Okay.
Okay, and we conclude for tonight and continue the topic tomorrow evening at 7:30.